What's going on? Good morning, good afternoon. Well, definitely not good morning, depending on where you are. I suppose there's still a small chance that it is the morning. But good evening. How we doing, everybody? How are we doing on this fine Friday? Hopefully no video issues. I did like a private stream, like too private, like not like with private people, but like, you know, a private stream, and it was like 20 minutes. Everything was good, no problems, no issues, no lag. So I swear to God, man, like it's not on my end. We, my whole building, like restarted all their power, all the internet, everything was like reset earlier today, and everything's been good. So hopefully no problems today. I have not seen any. I'll be very irritated because otherwise I'm gonna have to start going home because I don't have any other like debugging I can do, besides going home and streaming from there. So yeah, but thank you guys for being here. How you doing today? Hope you're enjoying this fine Friday. Um, yes, we will get to some TTS. Oh shit! Speaking of which, I need to put my headphones in so I can actually listen to TTS. That would be an important part of doing TTS, I would suggest, is being able to listen. Just a sec here. Being able to hear what's going on would be probably part of it. I think that would matter. There we go. All right, so we'll do that in a little bit once we discuss a few things, but got a couple things I want to talk about today. Just wait for everybody to file in here, and we'll talk about a few pieces of news. Mostly, I want to talk about keepers and outs today. Obviously, that's been the whole thing. That's been the whole thing about this week that I've been going on and on about, and we're starting to see some movement. Again, I know I say this every day. Every day we do this live, and I say, hey, things are moving. But every day we're getting like a little bit more movement. You know what I mean? Just a little bit more by way of movement. All right. So before we get going, let's do it. Let's like and subscribe. I'm not going to do it as a poll. Let's just pin it as a message. Like the video. Come on, guys. A lot of likes needed here to get things cooking. It is quiet. The quietness in the window is really not great for me. Making and putting the effort in on these videos. I'm not going to lie. Like, ever since it was like this big steep climb and like everybody hype on the transfer window up until Mbumo, and then the bid going, and then it's been like, yeah, everything's teetering, and nobody knows what, everything's slow and nothing's happening. How can you become a member? You should be able to click just join below the video, and you can join. And I should have a member video tomorrow. Delap stinker today, James. He did have a stinker today. I did watch it, and I'll tell you what's funny. All right, I'll just stand on my soapbox. I'll stand on my soapbox. Oh, you know what? The sound might actually be a little quiet. Hold on. Yeah, it is. All right, that should be better. All right, there we go. Yes, volume is up. So adjust your volume now if you had it at maximum, because I turned it up like 30, 40 numbers there. But I tell you what's funny. A few days ago, here on my soapbox, Delap came on, made one little good movement, crossed it in for an assist, and it was like tweet central among United fans. All right, it was tweet central among United fans on Twitter about, oh my God, Delap is so good, amazing movement. And I'm like, hang on a second, ain't this the kid who rejected us? Isn't this the kid who rejected us? Why is everybody still? But the sad thing is that there's too many people who like are ready to praise opposition as a means of putting down our own players and our own targets and things like that. And then Delap has an absolute stinker today. I mean a stinker today. It was bad. Silence. Actual silence. Nothing to say about it. And all I'm saying is that if you're going to be doing a bunch of praise based on the Club World Cup and a few minutes of some decent movement and one good pass, can you be consistent in saying, that game was shit? That game was shit. And I'm talking about United accounts. I'm not talking about the news and the media. I'm saying that maybe that wasn't so good and Delap isn't already this perfect player. It was poor. It was really poor. It was a really poor game. That's all I'm saying is like, if you're gonna praise these opponents like that as like this point scoring about, United should have got them because you don't like some of our other targets, maybe you could also praise, criticize when they're bad, especially when they're on the opposition. So it's an interesting one. Flamengo was good. I was quite impressed with them, actually. We'll try to yeah, I would agree, Bam Boys, and I think what I really want to do here this season. I was kind of saying this on the view earlier. Let's consider this part of the video, okay? I was saying this on the view earlier, is on the red carpet one, which was that, or the Trinity podcast today. I can't remember which one it was. I feel as though we need a reprieve. You know what I mean? Like, I feel as though we need a reprieve on United to a degree. Almost everybody. And I kind of mean that. And I actually do mean it. Like, I do mean it. Like, I would have a reprieve on nearly everyone. Because I look at just everything that's happened. And we've created a fan base, and I'm including myself in this very much. I'm including myself in this. We've created a fan base because of how bad things have been and how bad things have been run and how poorly things have happened over the years, where our whole like fan culture is all like point scoring a lot of times on our own players, myself included, where we end up so stuck in agendas because we feel like there's not people running the show competent. That's my feeling of why we've ended up here. That people have not been running things competently. And so we feel like we have to like influence the discussion as fans to hope that it causes some kind of change or some kind of improvement or some kind of thing. Like when I look at Liverpool and City and their fans, one thing I will give to them is because they've won, they don't do the same thing. They're very often like, we'll just trust the management, I'm not saying it doesn't happen because everybody's got their opinions and things, but it happens a hell of a lot less. It does happen at places like Chelsea as well, where they've had a lot of the chaos behind the scenes too. I've noticed with Arsenal fans, they're much more like, I get surprised at how much more unified a lot of them are on certain things about like, we'll just trust the the Arteta, or we'll just try. Like, I was surprised. I thought more of them would be, but they're seeing it. You know what I mean? They are. It's just, and I said this on the Trinity earlier, and I feel like it's true. Like, we just need to reprieve anybody who's here, who's supposed to be here after this summer. Let's just start fresh with literally everybody, because we've all got players that we dislike or that we think have been poor, or we think have been this or we think have been that. The Trinity podcast is just a thing on United View channel, and I just did a live with them this morning. And it's like, because to me, we have to now trust the people that are involved, the people that are running the show. What Omar Barada said is that, they actually have the executive team, they have the technical team, they have the coaching team in place, they have the recruitment team in place. It's all set up now for the first time, really, this summer. And I'm not saying you have to trust. I'm not saying trust. I'm not even saying like, oh, you expect them to be great or something like that. But a reprieve means like, let's forgive people from the sins of the past a little bit and look at it with fresh eyes, okay? look at it with fresh eyes. Like, this is fully season 1. All right. Because last season we started with a manager who wasn't ours. The executive team wasn't in place in summer. They didn't have time to prepare for recruitment and all of that. So a lot of that has changed and a lot of that is done now, and it is a fresh start. It is a new time, for the first thing. You need a girlfriend analogy to explain that one. Let's put it this way, like, don't carry baggage from your prior relationship into the new one because it will ruin the new one. How about that? There you go. If you are talking to your current girlfriend and you're like complaining about or comparing them constantly to your ex and bringing that line of thinking in, you're going to ruin your current relationship and you're going to struggle to appreciate it. So how about that? There you go. That was easy. All right. Let's not bring our old baggage forward into the present, and let's try to move on as people. I just did explain it in football terms, and all right, fuck you guys. Yeah, but let's just relax about it, okay? Nick Cox was not taken out by Jason Wilcox. Joey Sadass, welcome to the Pro Muppet. Nick Cox was not taken out. He left of his own accord. And what I do trust is that the people in place are going to be able to replace him, as they have set up and run a brilliant academy at City between Omar Wilcox and all of them. Of course, we all have a really hard time doing this. You know what I mean? We have a really, really hard time. Like I said, I very much include myself in that. There's no doubt about it. And I will try to be better, no doubt. But so be it. Again, while you're here, guys, like it. There's only 79 out of 540. We can at least do like 150 or something like that. And let's actually get to the news. The first thing that I want to talk about, let me just tweet this. Now that I've actually gotten through my prologue, that I always seem to have, my introduction. Okay, so here we go. Number one, let's talk first about the exact situation with Andre Onana. All right, as I said throughout the season, there is a lack of being convinced in the keeper situation here, right? There's a lack of being convinced in the keeper options that we have and in it being good enough for what we need. The priority has been, time and time again, to get a keeper in who has safe hands. That's pretty much the major thing, is get a keeper in who has safe hands. Someone that you can just trust at the back to make the saves that you need to make and to do all of that. And they don't feel great about either option. That being said, Andre Onana has a lot of time left on his contract. He has a lot of money left on his contract, and he has a lot of wages left on his contract. Now, Andre Onana, the human being, Andre Onana, the character, Andre Onana, the personality, is somebody that is really well liked by a number of people at the club, including Ruben Amorim. And that kind of isn't particularly relevant because they'd be willing to sell people, as it were. They'd be willing to sell anybody that's underperforming from a management perspective. But it does matter in that respect. They're not kicking him out of the club. But they're also unlikely to get some kind of offer coming in for him. And as you've seen today from Fabrizio just a few minutes ago, Andre Onana to Monaco is not a thing. There is nobody right now solidly in for Onana. Okay, there's just nobody. Like I said before, that when there's first rumors came out about Saudi, those were not true. They were not accurate. They were not ones that resulted in anything. Like, not saying there hasn't been interest from Saudi, but the actual concrete approach from Saudi has never happened and has never been a thing, essentially. So on that front, we don't have anywhere to send Onana to go in order to replace him. If Onana were to leave, then there would be keepers that we'd be interested in and that we've done a little bit of checks in. Because if a big offer came in suddenly, would we be willing to sell? Yes. But the likelihood of that happen is extremely low. And Onana will very much likely be here next season. Now, to me, that's okay, and I'll tell you why. It's okay so long as the initial plan gets done. End of last summer, United made approaches to sign keepers to compete for the first team position, to be the backup. They approached James Trafford. They spoke to him all the way up through almost into January about potentially coming in and being that keeper. I know there are others. That was one. So they were looking always for a young keeper to come in and be competition for Onana. Now, they might win that competition very, very easily, but they want to be competition. And I think part of the thinking here, which I can't totally disagree with in reality, is that I don't think that the money on many senior keepers out there is worth it. Like, I don't think there's many great keepers. So take the Emi Martinez links. United probably have had contact with his agent to just check on his situation, and that's it. And as I said through the week, and as I said this morning on The View, this is being heavily played up by his agent. There's nothing really happening on it yet. And it would maybe only be if Onana was sold, and maybe only be if it was on a decent deal. And when you look at the reality of it, it's a tiny improvement. It's a tiny improvement. It's an improvement, but it's not much. It's not much. And when you compare the cost to value of most of the keepers out there, it's not great. I think this is one area where at this point, unless you can get like you're getting like an actual top class keeper, and I don't think we can, it'd be better to get a young kind of keeper to come in and compete with Onana and, learn together. And that is still the plan. Maignan wanted Champions League. I like the idea of Vanya Milinkovic-Savic, who's still on the list and still an option, even though he's not a younger keeper. I wouldn't 100% walk away from that, but again, he's probably not an insane keeper. He's a good keeper. He's not going to get much better. If you get a young keeper in, and I think this is where it goes back to someone like Lamens, because we've had the most solid links to him as a young keeper, then that's a player who could be better. He could be better than what we can get on the market out there. A player who can become that good in the long term. And so that's kind of my hope on this, is that it turns to something like that. And that's who we end up getting in the end, ideally. That would be great. Olamayawa Omatoso. Welcome to the Pro Muppet. Thank you for your membership, and I apologize for butchering your name. Undoubtedly, I did do that. And then there's this name that's been... Oh, you son of a bitch. Why you do this to me? I don't know why it does this. On occasion, it just stops sharing what I intended to share. Hold on one second. This is Karnaseki. There we go. There we go. Again, another keeper where if you look at what he's been rated for, it's shot stopping. PS, XG, minus GA. He's a very good shot stopper. Now, if you look at his Football Reference stats, they look a bit better in terms of like his box presence, coming out and clearing off his line, stuff like that. And he's got some pretty good numbers there too. So 6'3.5", pretty big guy. decent option there. So if I don't know yet if that's real, we've just had a few links, and but it's the right idea, a good shot stopper to come in. So again, much more likely. I would say 80-20 that Onana stays and we get a young keeper versus a we replace Onana with somebody this summer. That's if we get a keeper at all. I would say that more than likely, I would say I'm 60% we get a keeper and it's a young keeper. I'm 30% we don't get a keeper, and I'm 10% Onana gets replaced, something like that. But yeah, that's one to look at. Maybe it's one for the future. But yeah, look, being able to get a solid backup in is a valid approach to what we need to do, right now, and always has been the idea that hopefully in the long term, it's somebody that can be better than Onana, better than the options that are out there. Do I think it's Lemans, and how much would he cost? I think he's only 25 million, something like that. Stupid notifications still aren't working when you go live. I don't know why that is. It should be. We won't pay 50 million. Yeah, and look, obviously, I don't know if the Karnaseki link is real yet, but we will have to see on that front. So, yeah, that's kind of the state of affairs on the keeper front. I do think there's a good chance Bayindir leaves and we get that young keeper. That's been the plan for a while. And as I said, the Emi Martinez thing is being played up as to be more than it is as it stands. It's not a big thing. So we can move on from that one. What else did I want to mention? I have quite a few other things to happen. A few other things I want to discuss. Sancho. Let's talk about Jadon Sancho. All right. Yeah, I appreciate you guys all in the chat pushing so hard for people to like the video. It means a lot. Let's talk about Jadon Sancho. There's Sancho, as I said earlier in the week when the Napoli rumors came out, he's very much willing to join Italy. Italy seems like the most likely destination now. It definitely looks like it's heating up a bit. Napoli were, as I understood it, like 5 to 10 million off the total deal of getting it done. And basically, to explain how that works, if they gave us 5 to 10 million more, then we could pay off Sancho and that would make the deal work. Or if they gave Sancho 5 to 10 million more, then he could get paid and we would need less. So they're 5 to 10 million off there, but I'm not sure they want to pay more for him given the situation. Juventus being in for him is a good thing for sure. It's definitely something that helps more competition for him. Maybe it's a bigger, Napoli just won the league there, but I mean, historically, maybe Juventus, I don't know, maybe not. I shouldn't say bigger. That's really not true, is it? Napoli are pretty damn big. Regardless, I think either one is a good option for him. And, we've seen these English players, especially like ex-United players, kick on in Italy and do pretty well. Let me explain the finances on this. Is there an argument to be made to just accept 10 million and pay him off entirely? No, and I'll tell you why. We still owe 15 million on him amortization-wise, and we'll probably have to pay off 5 million in a fee. So we need 20 million to not take a loss. Now, if we get 10, we will take a 10 million loss, and then we'll save a tiny bit of money, but it really won't be worth it. They might do it just for what it's worth. If push comes to shove, they might accept 10 million because then you take the 5 from Chelsea and you end up with enough to make a little bit of a gain this 12 months. But yeah, we will have to see. I don't think so. I think if 15 would do it though. I think 15 would be enough because they could pay him off and the 5 million they got from Chelsea pay off his wages and that would do it. So I think they will. This one is a serious chance to go. There's this sort of a story saying like, Sancho, Garnacho, Antony, Rashford will all be left out of the tour. I think that's very likely true. Antony, we'll talk about in a minute. We've got some confirmation of my news that I've been talking about for like 2 weeks on that one, pushing forward today. But Sancho, this is a good one to move on. We definitely need to move him. Um, yeah, and interesting point here, Issa, on that, by the way. Sancho to Douglas Luiz swap deal. So there was a solid report. Correct me if I'm wrong. Where it came from, I don't remember, but I believe it was a solid source that said that we were talking about swapping Antony for Douglas Luiz. If they want Sancho, I would in a million% take a Douglas Luiz Sancho swap. 100% I would take that. Give us another energetic midfielder who adds goals to the team that has the Fabrizio said it. Okay, so yeah, it was solid then. I would if they're still interested, then I would absolutely take that deal in a heartbeat. Now, I believe it was supposed to be like a 1 year thing for Luis, from what I recall. It was like a 1 year thing as well, but I would 100% take Douglas Luiz. Douglas Luiz is a good player who just hasn't really got on at Juve. And he's good. I mean, when you look at his numbers, he's a solid midfielder. He would be very progressive. I think he'd be a good attacking 8. He adds goals to the team. He's proven in the Premier League. Yeah, I mean, he's pretty, for me, he would be a very, very solid, like, Bruno backup. Or in games you shift Bruno up, you could play Luiz in that attacking 8 position. He's solid, man. Let's look at his numbers here really quick. Just again, his last season in the Premier League, 14 goals and assists from the midfield. And I get it. He did not get on at Juventus, but that's hard to say that that's on him, more than it is on them. He's a good player. He's a solid player. He's a good on the ball. He's got quality. I like him. I like him. I understand he had some injury issues this season, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's like some superstar. Don't get me wrong. I'm talking about somebody that helps us fill the team out. You know what I mean? That's what I'm looking at. Somebody that helps us fill the team out a bit, adds a bit of quality, affordably, and would help us get Sancho gone. If we could sell Sancho for 15 and in return we're taking a loan of Douglas Luiz for a year with an option, I'm taking that in a heartbeat. I absolutely am. That is okay. That's a guy that I think helps push us up the table with our options, gives us more flexibility, more depth, more players that are absolutely good enough to play in the cups. So I like him. I like the idea of it. Jason gifting 5 memberships to the community. Thank you, Jason, for that. I really appreciate it. Again, I will turn TTS on here in a few minutes, just by the way. I want to get through all of the news. Then we'll have a little hangout time for 20-30 minutes with TTS on. So if you want to send messages and things, you can send those in a little bit. All right. Can he play backup to Ugarte, though? Probably not. But he could play with Casemiro. He could play with Ugarte. You never know. There's games maybe he could even play in the 10. I'm not going to lie. Just the way that he goes. If you turn it on, I'm gone. It'll be a bit. Don't worry. It's just Friday. The end of the Friday streams, we turned it on so people can abuse me and I can make a little money before the weekend. That's all. Just saying it how it is, okay? No, but yeah, I would definitely take him for sure. I would, but not right now. By the way, no lag issues, right? I haven't been checking, but no lag issues, right? I think we're fixed. I think we are fixed. We've solved that problem, which is very, very nice. All right. Let's move on to. So that's happening. That is progressing, we should say, on Sancho. The next one that is progressing seriously is Antony. Antony is moving closer and closer to Real Betis, right? This is the one I've been kind of covering for the last 10, 11 days, saying they've had more meetings, they've had more discussions, they've had talks. It's solid. He wants to move. You saw this morning from Luckhurst that he's willing to take a pay cut. And you know what? Fair play to him. If he is one of the few players we have that we are moving out that is willing to take a pay cut, as much as I've criticized him, fair play to him. Because yes, you look at this thing about how he rejected Como. You know that they would give a bigger wage than Real Betis. You know that they'd be paying good money over there. They have a lot of money over there. If he's willing to take a pay cut to go to the club that he wants, completely fair play to him for that. And I will not criticize that at all. It'll make the deal easier. It probably helps Betis in terms of getting their move. He probably wants a place in the Brazil. I agree. He probably wants a place in Brazil. He knows he needs to play. He's been doing really well at Betis. Good for him. Okay? Good for him. Good for that. You know, it is what it is. So it takes a pay cut. They're definitely, this one is one I really, this one is one I really think is going to happen. I do. I think it's going to happen. I've been saying that for like 2 weeks now, but it's moving. It's like actually moving. There are actual contacts, actual discussions, actual negotiations going on this. And so like, yeah, this is a good one that I think is going to happen. If we can get enough to take out his PSR, it opens up. It opens up the books. It opens up the books for spending because it's 15 million a year in amortization that we can replace. And I think that's a huge one. And he has a few years left, right? It's not like it's just one season left. He's got 2 more seasons to go. So this one would help a lot. Yeah, you got the World Cup. I mean, this is a big year for a lot of players. They got to be smart if they want to get into that national team by next summer. So this one is happening. What fee do you think we get? I think it's going to be a weird structure still, but I don't think it'll be that 50% buy thing. But I could see something like, imagine like a loan with obligation and then like another for 15 and then another 15 for like 40 appearances or something. So like it'd be something where you expect the other 15 to get triggered, but it'll get triggered later. Like it'll be some sort of strange structure. It could even be 15 million plus 15. And it's 15 now and it's 15 after 40 games. And that way it can trigger like the next season or something. For us, it doesn't matter. If it's 30 up front, if it's structured, it's not that big of a deal for us. We just need the money to be agreed. I'm telling you, it's not, the structure isn't that important. It's not that important. I think it's PSR more than cash. Now, yeah, obviously we could just agree to 30 million straight, let him pay it over 5 years, whatever, right? Not a big deal. But I think they need a different structure for other things. That's all. So we'll see. I'm only speculating though. Okay, I'm only speculating based on what they were kind of prepared to offer. But because I don't pretend to understand their situation that well, I can only kind of speculate on that. But this is what's kind of gonna happen. And look, it's fine if it gets them off the books and we write the amortization off and it improves things. Then fair play. That's good. So we take it like that, and I think that is a really good one that is moving. The other interesting report that came out was that Rashford had loan interest from Inter. Now, as I've shared before, it's my understanding that obviously, while he does very much want Barcelona, he's not going to necessarily, like, if Barcelona don't go for him, he's not going to turn down moves on the continent to other big clubs that are in the Champions League. He would be interested. He had some discussions with some Italian clubs in January. And I think Villa ended up being simpler. They were in the Champions League and it was a much easier move. But yeah, he's open. I understand that he's open to these other types of moves. That's my understanding of the situation. So I think that there's potential for him to go to other places. Could it be a loan? Yeah, it totally could. It totally could. And we just have to live with that. But if we get the wages off, there will be an option at minimum entered into any loan. He performs, then it's a better situation, at that point in time. Barcelona could still get him. I think people maybe misread the situation on that post Nico Williams, they're still in the market for a Rashford. It's not off at the moment. So yeah, there's a serious reality that again, it could still happen. It could still happen with Rashford. to Barcelona. They always figure it out because he's very flexible, because he can play right, left, center, a lot of different positions. So we will see. But there are no plans at the moment to reintegrate him or Sancho or Antony or Garnacho as of now. Look, everything we get off the books helps. If Antony goes to Betis, that looks pretty good. Sancho goes to one of these Italian clubs, that looks pretty good. If Marcus goes out on loan, you add it all up, it's big, big savings. And next year, Casemiro's gone, Maguire's gone. We're going to be okay. The biggest challenge here is Onana and Garnacho. Onana will be a lot easier to sell next summer. It'll only be like 10 million, 15 million we need for him. Which is probably what will happen, or he'll move to a backup and we'll sign somebody as we sign somebody else. Garnacho, I have no idea what's going to happen here. I still don't. Because I've not heard anything. I genuinely have not heard anything. I haven't seen a report. I haven't heard anything. I don't know anything of any sort of solid arrangement here that will work, because Leverkusen were in for him, didn't want it. Is he going to go to Aston Villa? Perhaps. That's the only option. I mean, what if, one thing that could happen, what if Arsenal buy Watkins? Ollie Watkins is their clear third choice. If they feel that Šeško and Gyökeres are too expensive and they buy Ollie Watkins, would they come in for Garnacho? Maybe. That might be the best route. Tottenham, they not Mbumo, Semenyo too expensive. Could they come in for Garnacho? Maybe. I mean, Garnacho and Semenyo are fairly similar as players. I think Semenyo is a more refined Garnacho. That's about it. About the same thing. Not much between the two of them. So maybe that would work. Maybe that's an option that will show up, but it'll be later. It's going to be in July, maybe later in July. So Tottenham and Villa, I think, are the two potential clubs that could come in for him, but they're obviously, if they do, they'll probably hold our feet to the fire on this. Come in late, put in a low offer. Would we accept? Probably. And I think the issue we have here is, July, 17 days from now, 16 days from now, we're back in preseason training. What happens to these players? I think Antony will go before then. I think Sancho has a good chance of going before then. But what happens to Rashford and Garnacho by then? And what happens on the tour? What do they come with? What goes on there? I don't know. I don't think they will be on that plane, but it's hard to say. What about Højlund leaving? Same thing. It's just slow over in Italy. We're just going to have to wait. They were still working on Bunny, but all reports seem to indicate they're still very interested in Rasmus Højlund. In addition, remember, they're going for 2. But I really, really do want to add that there is a slowness to the market, in part just because of the time of year. People are traveling, people are doing shit, and there is also this matter of PSR in July 1st, where some clubs are going to wait till after July 1st to buy stuff. On Højlund right now, again, what you'll probably also see is clubs hold our feet to the fire on that too. And we're prepared to wait because we're waiting for our striker. So, yeah, it just remains to be seen there. But look, progress is progress. And I take progress to be anything that's freeing up more money is helping us. And that is Sancho and Antony. We're seeing progress there. Those are two that are definitely helping us. And look, I'm positive that Rashford will go in the end, and the wages saved and things will help us. But it's all progress. It's all progressing in the right direction. It's all moving in the right way, just slowly. And I know that, I think people get agitated about it, and I understand, but it's kind of, I just keep reiterating this point just because I'm hoping it helps. There's not things like everyday huge steps being taken. It's just not that quick. There's so much to be done. There's so much that goes through all of this, and we just have to be a little bit patient. We have to be a little bit patient for these sales and to wait for other clubs and such. But I'm positive the last week in June and the start of July, a lot of stuff's going to ramp up. And right now, we're just knocking them down. Nothing's progressing. James Glazer for real. You are not intelligent. Plus, the Glazers aren't running the club, so at least give me like James Ratcliffe, even though that's actually Jim's name. James Ineos, I don't know. But the Glazer one is stupid. The Glazer one is a fiction made up by an individual at a different channel. For some reason, thinks that there's people connected to the Glazers because they're Americans. But yeah, so look, and I'm not going to be redundant on Mbumo. We're still in talks. We're still confident to get the deal done. There's nothing else to say. I don't actually know what else, but I'm positive we'll see movement by next week. I think I said that in yesterday's, that I think next week we'll start to see some movement on that. The football economy is waiting for the equivalent of quantitative easing. Yeah, for sure. Well, it's waiting for people. It's like the supply chain is interrupted, and soon it'll all come together. It'll all work. Everything will happen. Everything will move. Nathan Salt said Jim Fraser understood to be one of the front runners. This is C. Nick Cox. So there was a story at the beginning of May about Jim Fraser, and at the time it was incorrect. But it does make me wonder. If there was a connection between him and somebody at United, and that's why it was reported, even though at the time it was incorrect. Jim Fraser is responsible for, and I think credited for, doing a really good job in Chelsea in youth recruitment and in bringing a lot of good young players in over there and scouting and finding a lot of good young talent. Now, that's something I think we've been pretty strong at, but that would be not bad. That would be a good idea, and you could imagine I'd be for it. I mean, look, I'm not going to pretend to know exactly what's happening here on this, but yeah, we'll see. Don't you think we're in a bad situation compared to other teams? No. I think that if you are comparing us to Liverpool and City, you're going to be depressed. You can't compare us to Liverpool, City, and Arsenal right now. I'm going to turn TTS on now. Yeah, sure. Let's just turn it on just while we're chilling here, because we're just yapping at the moment. So TTS is on now, okay? And again, if you don't like it, I do apologize, but it's on. Because I'm just gonna yap for another 15-20 minutes, and then we'll take it from there. But look, we can't compare to those 3-4 teams, okay? We just can't. We're not in the same situation as them. We don't have the finance that they have. We don't have the money that they have. We're not in the same boat as they are. We're just not. We're not winning leagues. We don't have the wherewithal to do what they do. And if you do compare us to them, you're going to be depressed. But I'll tell you one thing. If you compare us to the other teams, Aston Villa, who just missed out on Champions League, they're going to weaken this summer most likely. We're strengthening significantly. We are very likely, if you compare us to the rest, we're not competing with Arsenal, City, and Chelsea right now. We're competing with Aston Villa, with Brentford, with Bournemouth, with those guys, and we can take a huge step above them. We can take a huge step over them. We can. That's what we're trying to do. Take a big step back up into, the 5th and 6th position, back into Europe, challenge for 5th, challenge for 4th, and then because of the size of our club, we will have the financials to compete with the best. If we're even just in Europe, Europa League every year, we can compete with the best in England because we will have more money. The difference in funding and all of that, the big stadium, the worldwide fan base, all of that, it more than makes up for it, especially with the financial and cost controls that we put in place. So I'm not worried about it. Give us this season to get back into Europe. Give us this season to get back into Europe, to compete with the Villas and things like that and get Europa League. 7th. 7th or 6th. I'm not saying we shouldn't aim higher. I hope we do. But get us into 7th or 6th. Get us Europa League money. And then have Casemiro depart. Everything's okay. I can't hear. Can you guys hear?
Wait for Gyökeres or get
I couldn't hear
now?
It. That might be a blessing for me, to be quite honest. You guys could probably hear it. Wait for Gyökeres or get Watkins now. Wait. We're going to wait because we could always get Watkins later. Because if Arsenal go for Watkins, then Gyökeres is available. So we could wait. We could wait. You guys could hear that, right? For some reason, I can't. What's going on? You can hear it. The delayed is fine. That's okay. For some reason, I can't hear it. I'll open it on my browser because that's probably why I can't hear it, because I have the Streamlabs itself muted. Oh my god, it's making me do all this login stuff. All right, we're good. So yeah, you know, it's okay. You know, it's okay. It really is okay. I think we're gonna be fine in that respect. And next season, we get 6th, we get 7th, we get Europa League money. Casemiro leaves, 350,000 a week gone. Sancho's fully gone. Maguire wages come off. There's so much that happens at that point. Our budget, our wage budget next season, no matter what we sign this year, our wage budget going into next season is probably going to be lower than we started this summer with, and we will get to, and we add Europe to it. So that's the goal. Then we can spend, baby. I mean, then we can really do, like, you know, that 200 million. And if we get some more sales, if we can sell Onana at that point in time, if we can sell, you know, if it's easier, if at that point we can sell Rashford, if at that point we can do something else, then it really impacts things. And if Garnacho is sold, that helps a lot. But next summer is big time. Next summer, we go for a big midfielder. Next summer, we go for a big center back. Next summer, maybe another wing back, but we may not even need that much. I know people think it's like a huge problem right now. The cash flow is going to be better next year too, because we've got these extra cuts going into effect. As sad as that is to say, that is a huge part of the cash flow issue. You know, the ongoing payroll, you know. So yeah, we're going to save like so much by way of wages and things like that, and then we can really spend. Same thing gets said every year, but have you noticed that we have actually saved, but this is part of this, like, it's not the same. It's not the same. It's just not the same. You know, it's not the same because we actually have massive cost controls in place that we never had before. We just need Europa League. That's what we need. Mind Funk, thank you for the donation. No message, but you can type in if you want. I appreciate you sending a donation in. Thank you very much. Thank you for that. I think we didn't put Nick Cox on gardening leave just because it's a decent thing to do. Look, I think that's Sir Jim not being hypocritical. He said the gardening leave thing is stupid. You know, he said the gardening leave thing is stupid when we were talking about Ashworth, and you know, it'd be a dick move to a servant of the club, in Nick Cox, who's done a lot for us, to prevent him from going to his job. If we get Champions League like 5th, is that a bonus in terms of huge? Look, I have to do some math on it, but I would estimate that next summer, if we get Europe, obviously it still depends on what other sales come through this season, because that's still an unknown. Like, what other sales happen? Like if Garnacho gets sold, if Rashford gets sold, like sold, right? If Højlund gets sold, but minimally with the things departing at that point in time, I think 150 million is spendable next year without putting us in trouble. That's just an assessment, though, purely opinion-based analysis. I'd have to do I have to wait for the year end to come out, and probably more like around January, I could probably do a better prediction, or February, whenever the second quarter comes out, I could probably do a better prediction at that time. But we'll obviously have to see who else is sold at this point in time. But if you take that, the loss of wages, the budget cuts will offset the loss of Europe this year. Then the next year, if you bump it up 60 million for Europa, that's 60 million revenue. That's really big. It's like 40 million in net that it gives us, which is huge on its own. And then you take extra wages on top of that. Yeah, I think quite a lot. And if we were to get Champions League, it's 200 million plus in net spend. But that's also why we need to be smart this year. You know, we can't just spend with abandon this year, because we need to be able to spend again next year, just in case it doesn't go as well as we hope. You know what I mean? But I think it will. But we have to leave ourselves room. We can't put ourselves in trouble. So yeah, I think that's important. So yeah, I'm pretty optimistic, and like I said though, let's not compare ourselves to the clubs that are winning right now until we are back among them. We don't have to be competing for the league to outspend them. We just have to be close, and then we can carry. If we get Europa League, we will be able to outspend or spend the same as those clubs, and then we can start to compare ourselves to them and look at our business. And as well, that time, that gets so many poison pills will be gone by then. The Casemiro thing, Sancho will be gone 100% by then. All these things will be gone. The only thing really left will be Mount and Shaw, frankly, in terms of like actual poison pill contracts, poison pill deals, poison pill situations. Mount will have somehow, unbelievably, still 2 seasons left and probably be unsellable. Luke Shaw will have maybe 1 season left on his contract, in which case there is the serious potential we could loan him out for free and just get his wages covered. So even that one we could get rid of next summer. So there's so much positive in the works here that next summer could easily dump 1 million plus in wages on top of things and be able to replace them really, really seriously. So yeah, we have to outspend them, but we have to get closer to outspend them. We have to get closer first. It's a step-by-step thing. We can't do it overnight. We cannot do it overnight. But no, look, it's just the reality, of things. And no, I mean, look, Ineos made mistakes. I get people's comments on that. But it's been a year and a half. It's probably taken. Shatters, those word combinations from you make me suspicious. The word hub, just makes me suspicious. Are you baiting me? Napoli has a sort of agreement with Jadon. You're not baiting me. Napoli has a sort of agreement with Jadon Sancho. A duel between Juventus and Napoli for the English player. Where does he say this? A sort of agreement with Jadon Sancho. A duel between Juventus and Napoli. I mean, this is good. I like a duel. Thanks. No, thank you, though. Do I think we signed a midfielder late in the window? Yeah, I do. But remember, that's why I was thinking about Douglas Luiz a little bit, that suggestion as a possibility. I see it. Let's see if we can find the source of that somewhere. He might have said it on Sky. He'd been doing, the nightly Italian, yap session that they do during the week. That's why I was mentioning Douglas Luiz. Because so on DiMarzio's page there will be a bunch of articles that'll start to come out over the next little bit, detailing different things. So hopefully there's something of substance there that we can count on. That would be great. Yes, the first exactly him accepting a deal at another club would be huge, huge, because then we can stretch on a fee. The biggest issue is always that it's like the personal terms. I mean, the only reason the Chelsea deal didn't happen is personal terms. It's like, give me a break, man. If we can just get Sancho to accept going somewhere, then we can move. Paulinho, some people are really not going to like the idea of. I think he would help us. I think he's probably. I don't know if I would say he's better than Ugarte because he's definitely worse on the ball, but he is a better tackler and ground coverer and a bit better passer. But he's worse on the ball than Ugarte, and I think that would really bother some people. But he's not better. I don't know that he is better because he really can't dribble. Like he really, really can't dribble. He's just a little slower, a little bigger, but he is a little bit of a better tackler and passer. But yeah, it's sideways. I like Douglas Luiz more for what we might want. I guess I just like Douglas Luiz more in general. I don't think he necessarily is what we want. Yeah, guys who actually want to play instead of wasting their time on everything. Yeah, he was good. He was good, but you know, people don't like that kind of midfielder anymore. I would still take him, mind you, but yeah. Where's the money this season? Cunha and Mbumo, man, it's like 130 million. What do you mean? 130 million net is a huge summer for any club. By the way, I mean, just I don't like. I just want to make a point about something here. Let's take a look at something. By the way, I just want to show you something, just in terms of reality. All right. So, um, oh away, please stop with the ads. My good lord. So look, let's take for example Liverpool here. All right. This is before what? This is before Florian Wirtz and who? Well, this was last year. Yeah. All right, here we go. So they've spent 250 million. No, 168 million. 166 million. All right, they've spent 166 million. You add Kirkez in, they're at like 220 million euros. Okay, and then last year they spent a whopping 42. So they spent 266 million. 266 million in 2 years. That's only a net of 133 million a year in spending, and they had 47 million in. We're still outspending these clubs. Like, realize as well, Man City didn't buy anyone last summer either. Like, I know they're spending a lot now, but these clubs also didn't buy anybody last year. We're actually still kind of outspending them a little bit, but hopefully we're spending it better moving forward. But in general, by the end of this summer, I wouldn't be surprised if we've still outspent Liverpool and City over the 2-year period. We're just starting from a much, much lower situation. United Red Report said something about who? About who? Kanaseki or whatever? Let's see. I don't see anything, dude. Yeah, a much lower situation, exactly. Like the problem again, I did a video a while back talking about the theory of rebuilding United and how I don't know if you guys remember this video. Zane's good. Zane's good. Let me find Zane. What's his underscore? Zane something. He puts out a lot of decent stuff. And I'll pull it up. If you can, I can't remember that guy's underscore something, but Zane is good for aggregating stuff. Zane Z7. There we go. Okay, yeah, he's good for. He says Napoli have an agreement with Sancho. Sancho gave priority to Napoli. Napoli moved first for him and are now ahead of Juventus. Okay, so a little more details. A little more details. That's good. This is good. We're moving. We're moving, my dudes. We're moving. This is good signs. This is very good. Very, very good signs. Very, very good. Yeah, you saw Fabrizio's update as well. Just new contacts. It's fine. We're good. This is big. Sancho out and Antony out would be. I mean, realize that Sancho and Antony out would be 400,000 wages gone a week, and potentially 30 million in amortization costs. Okay. That would let us go buy whatever striker we want on the market. Okay? And a midfielder. Those open up so much room. It's not the profit, like I said, that we necessarily need. It's more the money, you know, like it's getting this amortization and wages off. It's insane amounts of money. 20 million a year in wages and 30 million in amortization. 50 million. It frees up on the yearly budget. Woof. That would be huge. That would be huge. Let's hope these happen in the next week or two. I think they will, but let's hope, man, because this will open up so much space in the team. It would open up so much space. You're talking about Buadi, Connor. I think that Buadi is probably one to keep an eye on for later, for sure. Yeah. PSR says we could spend 140. Well, that's Cunha and Mbumo for what it's worth. So even on PSR, we do technically need to free up a little more room. Yeah, we can't sign Buadi yet, but he's certainly one to keep on later. Tomorrow's just hit or miss. Sure, but I think it's been, the Sancho stuff has been confirmed on the Napoli side. Fabrizio even. So I would imagine some of this is, DiMarzio was first on this. So I think he seems to have a decent track to this one in particular, because he was first on this. And it is apparently accurate, so hopefully it progresses. Could be big news for us. That could be absolutely massive. Very exciting. See, you guys are all worked up about TTS, but I think that now that everybody's gotten their, like, childish stuff out, nobody wants to, it's quiet, People have spent their money. People have done it already. You don't have to worry. Maybe I'll leave it on for every stream now, because I was like, just quietly, like, I don't actually think that many people are going to be doing donations. I mean, everybody blew their load on, like, the $400 one and, all of that. And it's late on a Friday. But maybe I'll just leave it on now, because now it'll be normal and it won't be spammed constantly, and then it won't have to bother everybody. Just wait till we get paid. Wait till what? The end of the month or something? It's in the... Okay, yes. The tweet is now... The DiMarzio thing is in here. Let me pull it up, because I like to always look at this stuff direct. I like to look at this stuff myself and read it. Sancho, Priorità, Napoli, the latest. All right, here we go. Jadon Sancho, priority to Napoli, but Juventus is also there. The situation. Juventus continues to move on the market to provide Igor Tudor with a squad that compete for all the objectives. A profile that's back in fashion, but already talked about in terms of Juventus, even during the last transfer window, is, as already mentioned, that of Jadon Sancho. 2000-born winger, owned by Manchester United. On Friday, 20 June, there was a telephone call between Juventus. This is very detailed. Between Juventus and the Red Devils to discuss. That's today. If the Bianconeri If they continue to move more than United, Napoli also does not give up. De Laurentiis club, in fact, has already been moving for several days and can count on sort of a priority of the player himself for having seen. This is good. This is good. This is like really good. This is even better than the aggregation. Probably because it was said live and now we have the article. That there's an actual, this is pushing more. We have a competition here. We have a competition going. We've got real competition. Jadon Sancho is a wanted man in Italy. Is there a way we could get Aussie out? I don't think that the problem is Napoli. I think the problem is on the Osimhen side and how complicated that all is. This is good, guys. This is like really, really good news. This is like the best news we've had in 2 weeks. Since the first Mbumo news. This is it. This is big, big news. Actually massive. There's a competition between Juventus and Napoli for Jadon Sancho. I think we're going to get 15 million, 20 million for him and get the wages off. And it's going to open the big time. I mean, squad cost, I mean, oh my God. Let's see. Somebody sent me this, and I really apologize. You're one of my viewers, and you sent me this before. I'm not pulling it up now because I just don't have it in my head. But somebody sent me a while ago a really, really cool, like, thing, you know, about, that has, like, the squad caps and hits and all of that kind of stuff. But let me try to break this down a little bit simpler. Our amortization is something like $175 a year. Okay. Jadon Sancho's amortization and wages make up like 10%, like 9% of our budget, if I'm not mistaken. I could be a little off here. He makes up, Jadon Sancho is like 10% of our budget, of the club's expenses. Not the total club expenses, but the football expenses, like the wage and amortization bill. I believe that Jadon Sancho is 10% between his amortization and his wages. I believe he's 10%. So you have to think like that, like this. That's that point I was making about what a giant percentage of our spending is going to waste right now, and so if you were to replace that. Like, that's the level where you need a 100% every week top starter in your team. Right? It is right. Because it's $15 million. It's $15 million a year for his amortization. And it's $15 million a year for his wages. That's $30 million a year he's costing us. Our wages plus amortization is like 300 something million. I could look up the exact number, but it's like, it depends on certain other factors and things. But, you know, I think after where we're at right now with some of the departures that have gone to free agents and things, like after July 1st, I think Sancho and the less wages for Champions League for most of the club, I think he literally, it's like 10%. It's 9 or 10%. So the point being, you need to, that should be the like. You only have 11 starters. Your starters should be like, your best players should be like maybe 10%. Like your absolute top level players should be like 10%. And you have like 4 or 5 of them. Then they make up the bulk of your, you know, your budget. Half your budget on your best players. And then you have like, you know, the rest of the starting lineup, and the extra squad guys are making up like the other 40%. And then you have youth and other ones making up a few different. His is, he's costing us top level player per year, and that means that if he goes, we can replace him with a top level player. Now we're not paying $350,000 a week to anybody these days, so it even is going to give us some space. You know, it's going to give us some extra space if we get that done. But yeah, I mean, this is. I mean, I shared this earlier. I did a whole video on it, the one that Sir Jim essentially referenced. This is with half his wages being covered. So waste. Not necessarily total waste, but essentially huge cost. Look, oh my God. Same thing here. Casemiro is like 10% of our budget, and that's going to nothing. Mason Mount is like 8% of our budget, and it's going to nothing. Ericsson's gone. That's good. This is like another 10%. This is like another 7%. Maybe it's 5 because we don't have amortization on him. It's so much waste, man. It's so much waste. And then you get down to Antony, whose wages have been covered, and there's another 9%, 10% there. It's just, oh, it's so crazy how much waste there is. But these moves will free up the ability to buy top players when you look at the hit to the squad. So anyway, this is really good news. This is like really great news. Is it a full sale? Well, we're only interested in a sale, and they know that. That's something that we've made very, very clear. So I would imagine if the talks are continuing, then the idea is a sale. Now, he only has 1 year left. If they fully cover his wages and give us $5 million on a loan, I'm not saying we should do that, by the way, but it still saves us a fuckload of money. It still saves us a fuckload of money. It still saves us, 20 million on the season. So, and then next year, because we're saving 18 on the wages, 5 million we get as a fee, we're still saving 20 million of the 30 million he's costing us, and then next year it's all gone. So it's still worth it. Still worth it. What would getting rid of Sancho, and it's really hard to do the math on this, but if you were to move Sancho, Antony, Rashford, it really does free up it's so much money. It's hard to calculate, honestly, because it's hard to know the business, but because I don't want to make like a crazy statement, but it's literally over 100 million in spending, like significantly over 100 million in spending that it would unlock, and sustainable spending too. Like those are costs that are fine to have next year. So yeah, it's big. It's big. It's huge. It's really, really huge. It's really huge. So this is good news. I mean, this is good news. Hopefully this is followed up with and get somewhere, because this can have a massive impact on the rest of our business this summer. I'm really can. Tweet it now. So. Yeah, I mean, man, we're so close. Like, we get Sancho and Antony gone. Casemiro goes next season. If Rashford goes on loan, like, we're so close to getting rid of the actual madness that happened the last 2 or 3 years. The actual madness, the chaos that nearly destroyed the club. We're so close. I don't think we'll get Casemiro to go this season, but it's okay. If we do these other things, we're not likely going to spend the amount of money we would save from Casemiro anyway, because the type of player we want to bring in, let's say it's Balaba, let's say it's Wharton, let's say it's that caliber of midfielder, I don't think we're getting them this summer no matter what. We might actually be better off keeping Casemiro as a squad option this summer. As long as we can shift the other guys, we don't have to spend all our money this summer. We can because we can't convince all the players we want this summer. So it might be best to get the good ones in, make solid progress, and leave ourselves have space for next summer. So we need it. We need that midfielder for sure. Just as a reminder, the names that I have on my list, where are they? Midfielders. Freaking da. Here's the names that I have on my list. All right, let me look through a few of the names that I covered really quick. I'm going to pull up like my old PowerPoint as potentials. Not all of these are realistic, but I'm just covering the ones that we have, I know, looked at least, and see what's real here. Ederson seems unrealistic now, but he was like top choice for another 8. I'm not sure he'd be the right guy. João Gomez would be a top option, but I think he'll be expensive. I think he'll be too expensive. He just signed a new contract with Wolves. We just did big business with them. They are not in a selling position now. So that's a tough one. He would be a great option, though, for me. Absolutely lovely option, in my opinion, that we have looked at, but I don't think. Douglas Luiz, I had on my list. I like him. I think he could be a decent player for us. Wharton, yes, but I don't think it's even remotely possible this summer. I think he may be the big one for next year. Hayden Hackney, we've had very, very little by way of anything solid on him since we've scouted him a while ago. Joe Bellingham has moved to there. Then there's like Anton Stack, who seems like he could be a solid option, but apparently we're not looking at him anymore, or at least we hadn't, as per Michelle, who was the guy who gave us the original link beforehand. Felix Nemcha, another good fit, but not one that I think is realistic. And then Ugo Chukwu, and I can't move away from this one because I feel like he fits really well what we want to do, and he's probably going to leave Chelsea, right? I'm talking about, these are all valid links that we've actually had some kind of interest in at one point or another, or at least have watched. So of those, João Gomez, Nemcha, Ugo Chukwu, I think are all names I would like. I don't think Hackney particularly did anything to turn us off, but I'll be honest with you, I don't think he's the right guy to play next to Bruno. I think he's the guy to play next to someone else. Andre Santos. Is Santos the midfielder from Chelsea who's not playing right now, that Vivell recruited? Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about him, but yeah, I would, if I would be super happy with it if it were to happen. I'd be super happy with it. That'd be great. Yeah, I'd be super happy. That would be great news. That'd be a good player to bring in as well. I think Kone will go on loan. I really do think he needs another year. Ezekiel Palacios, I haven't heard any follow-up on that yet. So, but yeah, look, maybe, again, from the links that we have, maybe Ugo Chukwu, Stack would be good options. Nemcha, I don't know that any of those are particularly advanced, but they'd be good options. We've got Kobe to come back. Yes, but I don't think that, like, again, I think this role is more, and then there's like the Paulinho loan thing, right? I think the role is more fit for someone like Nemcha, Ugo Chukwu, João Gomez, whose strength is a bit more off the ball, where Kobe's strength is more on the ball. Because if they're going to be partnering Bruno, then I think we need that type of player. Palacios is over injury prone, so. All right, guys, it's been an hour and 17. It's Friday. I got to wrap some things up so I can get home, end of my work week, so I can have my weekend as well. I appreciate all of you very, very much. I hope you're doing well today. I appreciate you. Like I said, I appreciate the new members. I appreciate the gifts. I appreciate all of that, the few donations. Like I said, I'll probably leave TTS on now because there's literally nobody who came in and put anything in and made a big mess of things. So that's cool. So nobody has to worry about it. But yes, on the way out, make sure to like the video. We can get a lot more than the numbers that we're at now. A good chat, a good video, enjoyable stream today. It seems like some good news, and culminating in, after 2 weeks of talking about how we're working on outs, we're starting to get some noise, some solid noise that will open up more in the future. Okay, so hopefully next week, yeah, and I always be here over the weekend. I'll do something Saturday, I'll do something Sunday, don't worry, I'll be around. Hopefully over the next week, some things just tip over the edge. It's like the bucket's filling up and it's going to tip, and then things are going to happen. And then it'll be things are happening. We'll be dancing. We'll be doing double time emergency streams as we get something breaking that's big, okay? All right, guys, thanks for